welcome to another episode of Alan Writes. This is the Winter of Truth. This is episode 16. I want to say 16. It is an episode, and we're moving along. The important part of writing is, you're going to pace yourself in some ways. There's a minimum you have to do. Is there a maximum that you need to do? You do as much as you can. There's a point where you might get oversaturated and you might be just writing crap. But the important thing is that you've written it. And then you can later revise it, because that's the way it works. Alright, so Finara had been captured by the rebels. The rebels are a disparate group. They've all got different ways of looking at things. This is very different from the Imperial format that she's used to, where somebody takes control and imposes their vision upon things, who is in turn then answerable to those above them in a chain of hierarchy that goes all the way to the guy on top, who must certainly have everybody's best futures in mind. And I suppose you could say that he does, as far as quantity of best, and for what he considers to be best for them. It's a problem with authoritarianism. If you yield over to it, well, you've yielded over to it. Somebody else makes your decisions for you. All right, younger one in Apologies, pity remorse in her gray eyes. This is, of course, Finara, how she sees the rebels. Boulevard. What's there, though? Give him that. Mr. Holloway. Alright. They were in a cavern of some kind. An ice cavern. Not a snow cavern. Snow caverns are different. Ice cavern. Packed walls of it. I will remove the numbing cold and melt leather sacks of some water that melt the contents of leather sacks. The contents of snow-filled sacks. And slowly melt. Okay. It's very much a survival situation. Well, they say that you're not supposed to eat ice or snow, which is true. It's not preferable. It lowers your interior heat immensely. But there can also be trace amounts of stuff in ice or snow that you would want to be able to let settle at the bottom of, say, a water canister or something like that. It's better not to eat ice or snow, but if you're dehydrated and you need something to eat ice or snow, then there you go. Just don't make a habit of it. Same way with seawater, apparently. It's very hard on your digestive system, but if you need to drink something, you gotta drink it. No sooner, though. Give him that. So, who are you? There are three of them, and I don't remember their names. Finara. So, who are you? Demanded. There's no point in hiding anything. There's no point in... And when Finara hesitated, she added, There's no point in hiding anything. There's no point in hiding anything. We've got your ID. Then why ask? Why ask? It's a commenter. You're hoping give something away. You're hoping I'll give something away. Finara's pretty smart, but she's also not an interrogation specialist. Ken said. Alright then. What is it? Finara dripped back from him. His hands just followed her. Kept the grip. Let me go. Eventually. Finara. But right now, we need you were doing out there. Who will come for you? Who will come for you? The Empire will. Yeah, and? What was the other one? Inara and Inera? I don't know about those names. I do know that I like having them sisters. Just because it sets an expectation and a couple other things in the background to use. It's far better than they're just people with a long history of association. That's why, for example, you've got long-running shows often have a lot of history in the background, and the characters, even when they're interacting about something that's common or ordinary or everyday, there's a lot of subtext that's involved with that, and that's why people enjoy long-running shows. There's one aspect of it. Lady, I've been fighting the Empire. I've been fighting for a year now. I've blown up TIE fighters. There's shot up tanks, and yeah, one of those and more. I've killed men. I've killed your soldiers. So, whenever bring more, I'm right here. Was the brazen kind of speech she expected to hear. She had expected to hear. But it was the tone of it, the flippant response to her ardent understanding, to an ardent belief that Lorna would come looking for her. What would the other... I have a problem with names, if you haven't noticed. So, Lorna, I said bagel. Okay. that major name. Send out the speeders or fighters while the sun was up. That colonel name. I hate doing that. I really need a separate document to make sure I keep all the names straight. Because when I come back to these, names slip by. They're characters, they're roles. Names are kind of just labels for the most part. You can change them after all. Call in reinforcements. Even that asshole lieutenant name would rally his men. And go out into the cold. And this woman, this pilot, didn't care. Keep your secrets, if you like. Keep your secrets if you like. Keep your secrets if you like. All it does is make you less valuable as a hostage. What does it make you less valuable? More likely Finara looked at that. Uncertain. Certain of what? What? Just heard. Come on now. Cat said. There's no cost for that. Look to the soldier and shrugged. We let her go. We let her go. She goes. The cold takes care of everything. Takes care of everything else. Right. Cold. How far would she get on the surface? She froze. Assuming the rebels didn't shoot her in the back for sport. Fine. She was a hostage, a valuable one. She'd wait until the right moment to steal their transport. All right. Let's say that rebels have her ship in a nearby cave. Didn't want to take a chance on a tracking beacon. They also didn't want to leave it there though, because parts and stuff. So it's in a separate cave. One in a nearby, less well-hidden cave. Fly back to base. That'd teach them. I'm an engineer, Kuwait Yards. They'll pay my ransom. Finara motioned her over to the heater. No, probably not. Not unless you're something special. We take dozens of prisoners like that every month, and Kuwait doesn't pay up unless she looked to Kent. Did you find her? The AT-AT carcass. The blown one. The blown up one. Kent replied. Said it seemed as though she was doing a survey. Finara stepped close to the heater. Barely, and the nearly cool air almost felt warm to her features, to her cheeks. The rebels were having problems with their keeping warm. Problems why I would keep warm. Not enough energy generation, or the surface or the cavern wasn't stable, and they couldn't manage that. They couldn't manage that. Manage any better? Yeah, any better. Either way, they had a problem. She could exploit that. And our took out the data pad. Kent made Finara sit. Finara sit on this little camp stool. Took out the data pad. Wow. There's too many. Yeah, the names are going to screw things up. I will have to change them. Some point down the line. Well, come on, yes. Transport. Cycling down the engine as part of a cold weather routine. if you didn't do things in the right order, fluids would freeze up and the engine would never restart. Yeah, that sounds about right. I've done a little bit of research on things like World War II tanks and some of the radial engines for the early Stuart light tanks were finicky, to say the least, especially in cold weather, where they had to be shut down in a proper sequence. Otherwise, it was possible that they wouldn't start back up, just because the cooling off was necessary. And in the future, they still have these problems, especially on a place like Hoth. You can't design everything to be extra robust and still be battle-worthy necessarily, but not without a huge cost to the things which the rebels don't have. She's Finara, something, something, something. What was her name? What was her name? Sigh on that. Right, Finara. Last name. Moving on. Kuwait Guards. Armor Specialist. Grade 7. Looked through the data pad entries. It had been electronically locked, but apparently at least one of them could slice. Grade 7. Finara. Read off the display. Good pay. Perks. Some. Oh, nice for you. I said returned our attention to pad. Looks like you were doing a battle damage assessment of the AT-ATs. The AT-ATs. The ATs. They'll call them ATs. The ATs. Of the Hulks. Down a few of them, and you to make them even harder to kill. You want to make them. We can protect those inside. Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers want to protect stormtroopers. The scourge of the galaxy, who will murder on a whim. Murder on a whim of an order. Galaxy. The scourge of the galaxy will murder on the whim of an order. the protectors of law and order. Incorruptible and resolute. Incorruptible and resolute. Incorruptible, yes. Able. Incorruptible. Incorruptible, yes. Resolute. Relentless. Their orders might as well be programming. They take their losses and die quietly. When shot. She's trying to provoke me. She is trying to provoke her. They're people. Finara growled. You enjoy killing. Because they've killed ever so many themselves. Can't put in the atrocities committed. Rebels. You're just lying. I've been there. I've seen what they've done. None. Suspect populations. Called of miscreants by putting whole families against the walls. Against the wall. Kent said, his tone dropping toward darkness. Darkness. You haven't seen that. They wanted you to see. You're in a nice, safe womb of propaganda. And there's no getting out. You come out. I'm here, Finara said. We brought you here. But I can see that you're an imperial girl. You're an imperial girl. That's fine. Believe you want to believe. Be the Queen of Naboo, if you like. It is all the same to us. She loomed over her. If you escape, put you cold. Try anything funny. And we'll at least consider it. And we'll at least consider it. Be a good, compliant, imperial girl. And you might survive this. I've got no compunctions about doing what needs to be done. There's only room for one idealist in any situation. I slipped the data pad into one of her pockets. And to count. Search her again. I already fire up, strip her down. Now that's just wrong. That said, fine. Replied. What was the other? Again, I can't keep going back and forth like this. I mean, I can, but I shouldn't. Irena. Quit screwing around with your ship and your speeder. Do a search of the prisoner. Why? Kent has issues. You won't. Fine. Finara stepped away. Iran was still working on. Kent leaned down and caught Finara's ear. You'll be fine. Treat you well. That. She didn't know. She didn't know how to reply. Part of her wanted to believe it. Other was a lie. The truth was, she didn't have any choice. All right, so we're going to skip farther. The search was humiliating, and impossibly cold. Even standing next to the heater, her skin gone pale with the pangs of frostbite. Even afterward, when she had on her layers again, and she had on her layers again, even afterwards, chill followed her. It's almost night. Said the younger woman had compiled every tool that Finara carried and was picking the choicest to add to her own kit. Alright, and we'll have to leave off there for next time. Now, we're going to actually move forward. I don't know how much time we're going to allocate for her talking with the rebels, because it's really uninteresting. It's philosophical and conversation. And I may have to mark out that we're going to call off some time here for the imperialist rebel point of view, why the rebels are right and how they're wrong, how the empire is wrong and how they're somewhat right in things. For example, you need to have a degree of law and order in society. It's often how it's imposed that matters. And of course, I've got to walk Finara through there, because she just can't come in with an understanding of what I know, because that's boring. You have to make things interesting. You have to show the journey. And every journey has many steps. But that's for next time. This has been Alan Wrights. It's the Winter of Truth. I hope you've enjoyed this little turn into philosophy of Star Wars, etc., Rebels, the Empire, and the Cold of Hoth. Stay safe out there, and have a good day. Thanks.